The life of Yoruichi Shihoin. In the beginning, Tite Kubo said, "Let there be light," and the goddess of Flash was born. It is no mistake that her birthday is the 1st of January. Yoruichi Shihoin, princess of the great noble house of the Shihoin clan, master of the Shunpo technique, and all-around mysterious character. Yoruichi is one of the most interesting characters in the Bleach series. Hey guys, and welcome to Pangolo. This video is all about demystifying the enigma that is Yoruichi Shihoin, the ebony Shinigami with cat-like abilities, lightning abilities, and a banging body despite being the oldest woman in the room. So, now that we know where Kubo got the inspiration for this character, it's easier to take a look at her life and understand her character. This includes her strengths and weaknesses, as well as her influence on the entire show. Yoruichi was born into the Tenchi Soban, one of the 4 great noble families of Seoul society. Okay guys, a quick disclaimer. I will not be held responsible for any of the pronunciations that I butcher. Okay, where was I? Yes, the Tenchi Soban, or the Shihoin clan, as I will call it for the rest of the video, is also charged with having its leader being the head of the Onmitsukido. The Onmitsukido basically being the CIA or KGB of Seoul society, as they are charged with covert ops and other stealth assignments, including silencing and assassinating Shinigami that are considered to be rebels, much like the agencies I mentioned earlier. Yoruichi was raised in the Shihoin mansion in Tsurete with her friends Teisai Tsukabishi and Kisuke Urahara, and all 3 of them would eventually go on to become captains in the Gotei 13, another military branch in Seoul society. With Yoruichi, however, being a captain was special. She was the 22nd head of the Shihoin clan, as well as the first female head of the clan. Naturally, she assumed the title as head of the Onmitsukido, and because she was also captain for Division 2 in the Gotei 13, she managed to unite the 2 military branches under her rule. Yoruichi was also instrumental to some important characters in the story, like Soifon, who she recruited as her bodyguard during her time as commander of the Onmitsukido. And although Yoruichi didn't need a bodyguard that was weaker than her, Yoruichi helped improve Soifon's skill and character so much that Soifon was practically dressing and fighting like her 100 years later. Byakuya Kuchiki is another character with recognizable influence from Yoruichi. About a century ago, before he became the 28th head of another great noble family, the Kuchiki clan, he was just a young boy. It depends on who you talk to. Back then, Yoruichi was a frequent visitor of the Kuchiki manor, and on one occasion, we see how she uses Shunpo to steal his hair tie and taunt him. After learning from Yoruichi, Byakuya himself would become a master at Shunpo, but the most important influence Yoruichi has is her friendship with Teisai and Kisuke from as far back as we can tell. With Kisuke, she helped him advance his interest in research and his creative ability. First is the fact that Kisuke was the 3rd seed of Division 2, Yoruichi's division. And because Yoruichi's role had somewhat merged the Onmitsukido with the division, Kisuke as a high-ranking officer in Division 2 was responsible for the Onmitsukido's detention unit. Yoruichi also recommended Kisuke to be the captain of Division 12. This appointment gave him the ability to start the Shinigami Research and Development Institute, while recruiting Mayuri Kirotsuchi from the detention unit to assist him. It is clear that Yoruichi was very supportive of Kisuke, and even when he and Teisai were being tried for crimes they did not commit, Yoruichi damned all the consequences and broke them free. This singular act made Yoruichi lose her place as the head of the Shihoin clan, as well as all other titles in the Seoul society. It is eventually revealed that she has a younger brother, Yoshiro Shihoin, who replaces her as the head of the clan. This was all the backstory before we got introduced to the beginning of the show. At the beginning of the show, Yoruichi was still a black cat with a very masculine voice that misled everyone. After leaving Seoul society with Kisuke and Teisai, they head to the world of the living, where she disguises herself as a cat for most of the time. When we get introduced to Ichigo Kurosaki and his friends, Yoruichi is that one designated character that is present in many shonen, who is always coming around to pick up the beaten-down remains of our brainless protagonists that always charge into fights. She trains Ichigo and his friends in the first stages of his Shinigami experience, helping him master his Zenpakuto and release his Shikai and Bankai. This way, she plays a major role in the development of 2 of the show's most important characters, in Kisuke and Ichigo. Without her, Kisuke would not have gone as far as he did with his holofictation experiments, and he would also not have been framed by Aizen Sosuke. And without her, Ichigo would be a stain on Byakuya Zanpakuto, or be scrubbed off the streets of the Serete by Kenpachi Zaraki and his 11th Division minions. That beast. Ultimately, we would have had a very short show, or at least a very tragic one. Yoruichi's involvement in the developments of a handful of characters in the show is sublime. Her compassion and deep trust in her comrades are never unfounded. And this shows just how much of a good judge of character she is. She is laid back and jokes a lot when she needs to, but she's also ruthless when the fight begins. Just ask Soifon. One of her biggest strengths is her mastery of Hakuda, which she uses so well that it seems she even forgoes the use of her Zanpakuto. We can see how powerful her Hakuda is when she takes out 50 Onmitsukido members in seconds when fighting Soifon, and also when she takes on Aizen in fake Karakura Town. She is also skilled in Kido, which she combined with Hakuda to create the powerful technique that is Shunpo. And when fighting with Askin in the final battle, we can see just how crazy and uncontrollable her Shunpo can be, with her part cat, part lightning form. Out of all the 4 Shinigami fighting styles, there is no one she has more control over than the Ho-Ho. With one less Ho making it inappropriate, and one more Ho making it Christmas, balance must be attained. And Yoruichi balances the technique just right, as she developed the Shunpo technique and is regarded as the greatest user of Ho-Ho in the history of Soul Society. In your face, Santa. Yoruichi has just one flaw though, and to be honest, it might not be a flaw, considering how good she is. But just for the sake of it, we'll consider the fact that she seems to not have a Zanpakuto in use. And this is probably because of her mastery of all the other fighting styles. As a side note, which you should not take seriously at all, I personally feel that carrying a sword around is impractical, as she turns into a cat at will and doesn't wear much at times. Plus, like most female superheroes, emphasis is made on showing off some skin and curves, so there's not much space for carrying gadgets anyways. But seriously, the fact that Yoruichi is the only Shinigami that can turn into a cat for indefinite time periods has puzzled a lot of fans. There is simply no explanation for it yet, except the possibility that it is something that's passed down the Shihoin clan, like the Ryukotsujo and the Tentoken that both enable flight. It could also be that the cat form is an alternate version of her Shunko, since in the Shunshin Chohengen form that Urahara activates by tearing a paper, she forms several cat-like features. As for her Zanpakuto, the show makes it implicitly clear that she must have a Zanpakuto, since everyone that has ever become a captain has activated Bankai with their Zanpakuto, with the exception of course, Kenpachi Zaraki, that beast. So it's safe to assume that she does have a Zanpakuto, but just got so good at other fighting styles like Hakuda that she found no use for it. This is confirmed in the novel, Bleach, Can't Fear Your Own World, by Ryogo Narita. In the novel, Yoruichi says that she doesn't use her Zanpakuto because she fights better with her Shunko, and because of this, she has to comfort her Zanpakuto every day. I feel bad for that weapon of mass destruction. That wraps it up for the life of Yoruichi Shihoin. Her cougar exhibitionist attitude will raise some eyebrows. However, she's a well-written character, with a lot of grit, heart, skill, and trust. Her time as head of the Onmitsukido and the Shihoin clan has helped shape her into a very smart and decisive character, and one of the best in the entire series. Her Shikai form may be unknown. Her Bankai form may also be unknown. But you can see mine for free when you hit the subscribe button and notification bell as well, so that you don't miss anything when I drop new great content Shunpo style.